Let's talk about the FreightWaves Sonar Haul Index. The Haul Index is intended to be called the Head Haul Index, or it's made up of information about inbound and outbound tender volume data. Here to explain a little bit more is Jared.
Yep, absolutely. So the Head Haul Index is going to be a proxy for the load balance that we have in individual markets. So what we're taking a look at here is some of the data that is comprised of. So we see in white the outbound tender volume index, so indicative of the amount of loads available or tenders for loads in that particular market. And then the blue is going to be the inbound tender volume index. And so the way that the Head Haul Index itself on this chart is shown is going to be essentially on a ratio number. So if it is above 0, it's indicative that there are more loads or outbound tenders in that given market versus inbound tender volume. So looking at how many trucks will be coming into that particular market.
So if I'm a carrier, then I would want to go to Atlanta in this example because I know that there's more loads going out than trucks coming in.
Right, exactly. So you have more of a choice of the freight that you actually want to move. Freight, you don't have to be kind of pigeonholed into one type of freight that might be available out there. You've got your ability to pick and choose. If you're a shipper in a given market, what it's going to indicate is, what's my load balance like? How many more companies and how much more freight am I competing with versus how many carriers are available in that given market?
So if you're working out of a specific market, a lot of times, supply and demand, we all understand that helps dictate the price and negotiation strength and everything else. Yep. So having application at a lane-by-lane basis is really valuable if you're out of a certain area, but then looking at a grander or a market level or countrywide level, that can be impacted in a different way.
Yep, exactly. So if we move over to the tree map that we have set up here, on this what we're looking at is we take all of the markets in the US. It's got 135 individual markets here. And the way you read these tree maps is highest value. So the bottom number we have here, or let's go over to this one, is going to be in the top left, and then the lowest number. In this case, we are working with negatives. So the furthest negative we have is Lakeland, Florida down here. So ultimately, if you're taking a look at this, we've got Los Angeles here, a positive 99, indicating that there is much more freight outbound than there is capacity coming inbound. Lakeland, Florida is quite the opposite, telling us there is much more inbound capacity coming in than there is freight heading out.
So you're telling me if you have a load out of Los Angeles,
yep,
going to Lakeland, you're going to have to pay the carrier a significant amount of money to be willing to do that.
Yeah.
Versus the opposite way, a carrier would do just about anything to get out of Florida and get to LA.
Yeah, that is the head haul of all head haul markets right there,
right.
or lanes. Yeah, in Los Angeles, a carrier is going to really have their pick of the litter. In Lakeland, they're really going to have to compete in order to be able to get any freight out of there.
So companies can leverage this then to, at a much more sophisticated level, understand supply and demand across the nation, all of the different markets, to make more educated decisions on how they wanted to price their freight beyond simply the spot or contract rate data that they already have available.
Yep, exactly. It helps them to understand, do I have a head haul market here or a head haul lane that I've got to move out, or do I have a back haul lane?
Hence the name head haul.
Yep, exactly.
There you go. And that's the head haul market and the head haul index for you.